Hello and welcome to this week's special edition of Mondays with Michelle. I'm Michelle Sutter, Vice President of North America Sales for Holland America Line. And today's a special day because it's National Women's Day, and I have a very special guest with me today, Holland America Group President Jan Swartz, who's here to share her experiences and insights as a woman in leadership. Welcome, Jan.
Thanks, Michelle. So happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you here on board the beautiful Nieuw Amsterdam. The last 16 months have been profoundly challenging. And the key to moving through this chapter in time has been resilience. And I'm wondering if you can share with us what your personal experience has been with resilience and how we can embrace resilience in our lives and career.
I have to share that when the pandemic first hit and our business was so profoundly impacted, I knew that this was going to test me in ways that I had never been tested before. And I am such a believer in learning from others, and I immediately went to reading about, how do endurance athletes protect their health and mental well-being. And so the pandemic for me has been an incredible time of personal growth and reflection, and also a time where I've incorporated many new practices in my life that I wish I had known as a younger professional, because it's really helped provide that physical stamina and emotional resilience that was essential for myself, and then also in helping support the team. And so I'm forever grateful for the lessons and silver linings embedded in this pandemic.
Absolutely. There have been so many silver linings. And one of the things that I have found is that we have a renewed sense of gratitude for some of the things that we've taken for granted in the past, which hopefully that follows through as we move past the pandemic.
Absolutely. One of my practices is I have a checklist. This is going to sound a little nutty, but I have a checklist every day. And on that checklist are things like 20 to 30 minutes of exercise, 5 minutes sitting outside in nature, drinking a cup of coffee, thinking about what I'm grateful for. I try to send 2 or 3 notes of thanks each day. And with 40,000 employees all around the world, there's people doing great things every day. So it's just a matter of having a practice and a discipline around a set of activities that nourishes you and gives you energy.
That's really interesting that you say that, because I don't know if you've read the book, The Happiness Advantage by Sean Acor.
Yes.
So he talks about the happiness benefits or practices, and many of them are the ones that you've talked about, connecting with nature and gratitude, and how that has an impact also on your own personal happiness levels.
Yes, absolutely. Turns out some of what is written really worked.
Imagine that.
If only I'd found it in my 20s.
Right. Yeah. Which is a great segue to my next question. Okay. Early in my career, I had some thoughtful leaders who shared their insights and coaching and guidance as I was navigating and finding my footing. What would you tell a woman early in her career, and what do you wish someone had told you?
Sure. So I would share, think hard about what are your unique gifts, and what do you feel most passionately about in the world, and run towards that. And I think when people align their unique gifts with their passions in an authentic way, magic happens. And I think I see so many people where they take jobs that they may enjoy or think that's the job that somebody else thinks they should have, or maybe they go to a place to work but they don't feel like they can bring their true whole selves, and all of those things will just limit their performance. And so I think one of the greatest gifts for me personally is quite early on, even as a child, I would spend my last dime to have a travel adventure. And so I get to work every day in a business that I believe enhances the lives of millions of people and brings them joy and connects them more closely to what they care about and the most beautiful places on earth. And that is a really great way, a reason to wake up and go to the office, you know?
Absolutely. And so when you were younger, what do you wish someone had told you?
I think, trust yourself. Trust your own instincts about what your skills are, what your passions are, and seek out opportunities to test that out. And it doesn't mean you're going to find the answer right away. You may try things that just don't feel right, and that's telling you, move on, try something else. But trust yourself, show up authentically, and strive to do your best and help take care of the people around you. And I think many great things come from all that.
Absolutely. I was at a leadership conference a few years ago, and I was asked by someone in a conversation how I was able to manage a full-time career while being a woman. And there were other people in the conversation who had children the same age, who were men, and no one asked them that same question, which kind of made me feel like I was being judged by a different measuring stick. And I'm wondering what similar experiences you've had and what you think we can do to shift some of those perceptions of women in the workplace.
Yes, so I think likely all of us have stories where we've had a moment where that message hit home. Right? I'll never forget checking into a hotel in Europe where Jan in Europe is often a man's name, Jan. And I approached the front desk, and the woman working behind the desk didn't look up from the desk, but just said, welcome, Mr. Swartz. And then looked up and said, wow, okay, sorry. And I think that's just one small example of, throughout my career, there's been many occasions where I was perceived as different because I was female. Obviously, we've done at Princess a ton of business in Asia and opened up the international cruise market in Japan. And my husband used to joke that he could look me up on Google Maps and try to find the single blonde dot going around Tokyo. And so I think for me, it's been about just being comfortable in my own skin and showing up as I am. And I've been really pleased to see that I've been largely warmly welcomed, even in the most exotic environments.
I think that's key to what you were saying earlier about authenticity, right?
Yes.
And being your authentic self.
Yes.
I'm very passionate about mentorship, and I think it's important for opening doors for others, for learning and growth. And I'm really curious who you look up to for inspiration and mentorship.
Sure. So many people. I've been so blessed to work with an incredible array of professional leaders, both as bosses, as peers, as colleagues. And I would say I'm really a patchwork quilt of everything I've learned from others. But I was thinking that as I came on the Holland America Line ship today, that one of my most exciting memories was that 4 of my best girlfriends and I got to take the Oprah cruise, and seeing Oprah and hearing her words of inspiration will be a lifetime memory that we will all always cherish. And I was reminded of that as I embarked.
It's interesting you say that, because we have some guests here who were also on that cruise with us, and they were saying that that was the best cruise that they've ever been on, and they've been on a multitude of cruises. It was a very special experience, and the sense of connection with sisterhood, if you will, with all the women that were on board. It was a definite gift.
Yes, the sisterhood on that cruise was just so powerful. And I wanted to say something just about your point about families, right, and raising children. And I think there's so many couples today that are dual working, and there's so many inherent pressures in that, as well as single parenthood and all of the challenges that come with that. And over the course of my career, I've been asked many times about how do you balance that all? And I often joke, well, first, don't look behind the curtain, because there's some days when it's really not pretty. But you seek to find a harmony in your life of all your different passions, one of which, of course, is family. And what's interesting is that some of the moments that gave me heartbreak as a mother, like dropping my children off at daycare, right, when they're itty bitty, and they would cry, and then the daycare provider would tell me that 2 minutes later they were playing with their friends. And meanwhile, I didn't get over it for hours. But what's interesting is now my two daughters are have gone off to college and are applying to college. Mm-hmm. And what's remarkable is Samantha shared her essays with me, and in her essay, she talks a lot about how having working parents are what created an enormous sense of independence in her. And she sees it as one of the greatest gifts that we gave her. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to say to everybody out there, male or female, trying to raise kids and work, and particularly with the pandemic where that all got very intertwined, hang in there, because I think in the end there's some beautiful things that come out of trying to keep all those balls in the air.
You telling that story reminds me of I also have two daughters, and my 11-year-old daughter during the pandemic has decided she needs employment or a source of income. And so she's found these ways to earn money at home. And she came out with an employment contract for me. And some of the terms of the employment contract were literally things she has heard me say, because my home office is outside of her bedroom. So she learns all of these things about business. Yes. And then I hear her speaking about it in her everyday as well. So it's like she has her training at home. So I hope that when she's off to college, she's writing an essay about what she learned as well.
I am sure she will. Yeah, they watch what you do more than what you say.
That's very true. Yeah. What's something that you've learned about leadership that's been instrumental to your success?
I think the pandemic has really taught me that communication is one of our most powerful tools in building connectedness and sustaining teams through tougher times. So while I often thought prior to the pandemic that I was communicating often, during the pandemic, we really, took that up 10x in terms of guest communication, travel partner communication, shipboard teammate communication. And I feel like a day barely goes by that I'm not doing a webinar or a video or something. And yet all of that is proven so essential to everybody having common situational awareness, working together more tightly as a team to overcome challenges and to take advantage of opportunities. And so I think communication has proven to be one of our most powerful assets.
Absolutely. We've made great strides of having women in leadership, particularly in our industry. You're a testament to that. But some women still hit the proverbial glass ceiling. What are your thoughts around how they can navigate this scenario?
So I think our industry is wonderful in that in the past 10 years, we've seen more and more female leadership, right, come to the top of the company. I cherish my time with Christine Duffy of Carnival Cruise Lines, who's become a great friend. We often now do panels with Lisa Ludoff-Perla. 10 years ago, that never happened. Mm-hmm. And so it's wonderful to see that over time, we have a more diverse mix of leaders, and I think we all seek diversity of every form and flavor, not just gender, because diversity, when brought together in a culture of inclusion, helps drive better business results. People get to better answers faster. So I think my message for younger women, or perhaps people who have felt marginalized in any form, is to seek environments intentionally that are inclusive as well as diverse, to bring their full selves to the table, and to continue to raise their hand for opportunities. I think often that's an overlooked one, that people really respond to others who wish to help them. And so volunteering to help, perhaps on a committee or a task force or a tiger team, some part of the business that may not even be in their direct line of accountability, are ways to get exposure to more leaders and also different leadership styles so that they can help continue to develop their own professional skills.
I love that. So last year when the pandemic hit, I founded a travel advisor book club called the MS Masterminds.
Oh, great.
And so we've been reading a number of books over the past year. And I know our members would want to know what your top 3 book recommendations are so they can add them to their reading list.
Well, first up, great idea by you. I love the idea of a book club, and I would love to hear what you guys are reading. I would share, I'm an avid reader, and my husband jokes, we live in Los Angeles, and my husband jokes that God forbid we ever have an earthquake because my bedside table is stacked so high that it might take me out. I read a whole range of books. I'd say top reads would include one that has really helped me during the pandemic is The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. With respect to more businessy books, I have 2 favorites. One is called Talk Less, Listen More, Change the Way You Lead. Really helped change the way I approach meetings, ship visits. I find by listening, active listening is perhaps, along with communication, the most powerful tool we have. And then the third business book that really resonated was The Speed of Trust by the Covey Institute. And it really talks about how building trusted relationships among employees, spouses, family members, and the like really improves the effectiveness of the relationship and the efficiency that business can even get done if we all trust each other.
Well, you've heard that now, MS Masterminds. We know the next 3 books we're reading.
Everyone's like, oh no, maybe you like fiction.
We read business books and professional development, so it's all aligned. It's all aligned. What's your favorite song? What makes you want to get up and dance?
It's funny that you asked that because they asked me what my song is that I want played when I come out on the stage. I don't know what Arnold and Gus's are, but for me, it's a song from The Greatest Showman called This Is Me. I don't know if you guys know that one.
I don't know it, but I'm going to look it up now.
Okay.
This is me.
So before we wrap up, my last question to you is, what are you most looking forward to?
Oh, my heart is so full. After a very long 16 months, I'm sitting on the Nieuw Amsterdam. I'm a day away from helping our team welcome back our very first guests here in Seattle to sail to our beloved Alaska. And I just am overwhelmed with gratitude, right, to the guests who have supported us and encouraged us. I have gotten the most remarkable letters and emails and photos and even arts and crafts from guests cheering us on during this period. And I'm so grateful to our travel partners, who I know many of whom's businesses have suffered along with ours. And I know we've tried to make gestures like protecting commissions and helping people with future cruise credits, but I will be so happy to see them along with us thrive once again. And then of course, I'm so grateful for our teams, right? Our shipboard teams, being able to provide jobs once again to so many people we deeply care about, and our shoreside teams who as well have been working our tails off to keep the ships running and to prepare for this day. And we're ready. We have incredible health and safety protocols designed with the best global medical and public health experts in the world, guided by the CDC. And we feel really prepared with our vaccinated cruises to once again, delight our guests and show them the wonders of the great land in Alaska.
Well, thank you for all that you do for our organization, for the industry, and for women in the workplace. And it's been a pleasure having you today. And thank you all for joining us for this special edition of Mondays with Michelle.